It was definitely a challenging show. We had a really great team and a great designer, and so the process was fun, but it was certainly hard.
Yeah.
And a really big feat to accomplish because we wanted it to be beautiful, and time period shows are just so much more difficult because things can't be purchased.
Yeah.
A lot of it is rentals from New York, so other shows have big collections of costumes, and so we rent from lots of other theaters, which is important partnerships as well, as like Etsy and eBay and like actual vintage garments are in the show, things that like were around in the 20s that someone had in a box in their basement.
Jewelry, stuff like
And so we really are like snooping on the internet. During a show, I mean, if you're wearing a costume 8 times a week, things fall off, zippers break, you're doing a quick change, like things happen in the heat of the moment. But then if a hem rips out of an entire dress, they don't have time to fix it, so it comes back down here. We replaced like 5 zippers this morning. So in this room, the costume team definitely does anything to the clothes when they're not on stage is kind of our job and falls under our vicinity, but anything that happens to the clothes when they're on stage, or if something happens in the middle of a run, that becomes wardrobe's job to kind of pick up those pieces and to do the quick changes and do the laundry like you were saying.
Sort of like I said, when we take care of like the incoming costumes and sort of build things, alter things, and then they make sure that everything gets executed in terms of changing on stage. The maintenance of the clothes through the run is a really big part of wardrobe and making sure things stay clean.
The girl who comes out in the gold shimmery, beautiful dress, Lori stitched it for us.
And that was like designed from scratch with like the director and Dustin all together, and then Lori and I and Caitlin worked on sort of how that would look, and it sort of evolved from like a sketch all the way through to the final product.
So most of the inspiration, the sketching comes from Dustin, the designer, and then it kind of became a collaboration, a talk about what can we do, what do we have the abilities to do, what's going to be best for movement. So the choreographer was also involved in those conversations because it is a very physical dance that she does in that dress. And so then we had to start thinking about a group conversation really with the stitcher who is going to build it, with Dustin the designer, and then with the choreographer, how can it be worn and best used in the show as well.
Yeah, that's something that happens a lot in musical theater. It's called gusseting, which is when we add like a lot of stretch material to pre-existing clothing so that they can move more freely. It allows for them to feel comfortable and flexible because a lot of clothes aren't made to be danced in for 2 hours. Taking care of everyone's shoes so they don't slip and slide on the rain, that was something Caitlin had to really think about with Dustin.
That was kind of a conversation between Jeff and Scenic as well as Paint, and this shoes, kind of a combination of all 3 of us, but we did what's called rubbering to the bottom of shoes. So a lot of dance shoes are like soft soled on the bottom, so they're like fuzzy, or to help be able to like slip and slide on purpose. Become a cobbler and you glue a layer of rubber like the bottom of a sneaker almost to each shoe so that they have a little bit more traction, a little bit more grip. And then Paints came along and painted the floor with a special treatment so that when it does get wet, there's already more texture on the floor, which helps the shoes just to have something else to grab on. It's a lot of skill too, to be honest. Like for Max to be tapping in the rain, it's just him being amazing.
What is each of your favorite look in this show? Is there one that you really love that, you know, the light hits it a certain way, it looks great? What do you think? Any like one favorite?
I'm a fan of, in general in my life, of those big cocoon coats that
Dora.
Dora wears. All of those kind of things I love. I've used them before in shows I've worked on.
And I would have to say the girl in gold, the dress that Lori built is just so stunning.
Especially with like the sparkles when the lights hit it. It's fabulous.
And I think too, we know the craftsmanship that went into building that dress and the hours that she spent and the design, and just to see all of those things come together and know that your shop built that from the ground up always adds a little something extra to see as well.
Doodle-doo, doodle-doo-be-doodle.